with me T or Tereva. And I'm so honored and thankful that you're here. I've seen the journey within the past 3 years or so. Yeah, more or less three
Yes.
years. And you have grown like a wildfire. It's been so fast. And so, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. What a pleasure and honor to be here.
Of course, the honor's all mine. But I wanted to ask, there's people that want to grow as like super fast and super quick. And you have, you share through social media, right? That you had no experience from what I understand, and were about $150,000 in debt. And now you've paid off that debt, and now you own about 31 cash flowing rentals. Is that correct?
Yes, I started selling a few, so we're just under 30. Because like a few were just acquired a couple of months ago. We're still in the stabilization, but they are bringing. They're all occupied. So yes, yeah, it's
Had
it's definitely a lot.
been a journey. Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
journey for sure. What would you say to someone that's looking to grow quickly, just like you have? I mean, it's you've grown really fast in the past 3 years, and so I'm sure there's pros and cons that go with it. So what advice would you give to someone that looks at your journey as inspired and would like to emulate it themselves?
Um, I think I would say to probably build a good capital reserve beforehand because there are really busy months and then there are really slow months. And stabilizing properties, especially if they need to get renovated, stabilizing properties takes time. And after they're renovated, it can take a couple of months to generate money to place the right tenant, and then all of the fees that kind of come up with a move in and all that. So just have that reserve so you don't have to worry about. I had a reserve, but it wasn't quite enough. Like I could have had more, just to be okay. But also like in 1 year I acquired 20 something properties, which was not properties, 20 something doors, and that's a lot. So I was able to grow this fast because also I found good partnerships that work well and that we communicate well and we're kind of on board, like, okay, let's do a couple of smaller deals. All right, are we ready for a bigger deal, like a bigger apartment building? So truly it was, I started with the singles and then the small multis and then ended with a 13 unit building. And I wouldn't do it on my own, honestly, like the bigger larger deals. um, so first tip would be to have a reserve, and then the second one is be open to partnerships, and unless you can do it all yourself, go for it.
Not
But if you can
possible.
do,
No.
yeah, I mean, it depends. Sometimes I meet people who, they did acquire 30 something doors all on their own, but uh, you know, maybe they're in their early 20s, no kid, like it's just different. So just be open, like if whatever wherever you're trying to go, whatever your goals are, just see how you can make those goals work with your lifestyle. Yeah. And for me, that was partnership. Partnership was key, was like that key that unlocked like more.
And you're in Hawaii. There is a fantastic group of people in Hawaii that you guys are blessed to have so many great people where you guys are, really. And so my question is, how did you find the right partnerships? How would you know they were the right partners? Because I mean, you've done fix and flips. Obviously you've bought out of state rentals. Now you're getting into like larger multifamily. So How did you find those partnerships that you knew like have gotten you where you are now?
Hmm. A couple of things. One, just do it, and just be okay with learning, and um yeah, it's just be okay with learning. And my first partnerships were my first deals, and when I was learning, so I was a newbie investor. I Although I had almost like studied real estate enough, like I'm good at running numbers, analyzing deals, and but I just wanted that second set of eyes to just supervise what I was doing, how I was doing it, how I was doing my books, how I was talking to contractors, how I was analyzing the deal before getting into it, how to find the right lender and whatever. So many things. And having an experienced investor in the deal gave me that confidence, whereas when you don't have a second set of eyes that you trust, you're kind of always wondering, like, did I do the right thing, did I do the right thing, so my entry into deals, like actually taking action and getting deals under contract, was with partnerships. So um and it went very, very well. And I just kind of knew initially, I told myself, okay, for flips, I'll just do partner, not just do partnerships, but if I need a partner to do flips, I've done a couple, I kind of know how to do it. Never did I think that I would get into partnerships on buy and holds. Now, my my recommendation is open lines of communication, a bit of alignment, I guess, in the goals. So if your partner wants to make 100K a month, you're not gonna and your goals are to just build a large portfolio. Those don't match, right? Because your partner is going to want to do fix and flips every month, and you are wanting to build a rental portfolio. So if you're not aligned, it just doesn't really work out. And then you might have not necessarily disagreements, but just you're just going on your own path, and then that partnership just won't work and won't make sense. So there are also partnerships that make sense. uh, that person is strong at A, B, and C, and you are strong at D, E, F. So you're going to, like, not delegate, but share the responsibilities, because as we all know, one project, whether it's a flip or a buy and hold, midterm, short term, every project needs, a dozen of hats, at
Right.
any point. So being able to share the responsibilities, granted, you share the profits, but guess what? Every month you can keep on acquiring something, because you're just handling these three things, they're handling these three things, and because you're not all over the place. You're not having to answer to every tenant call, and I mean, so many things. So uh, partnerships need to make sense. The goals need to make sense for all parties involved. And really good, lines of communication and trust, and so obviously this is a business, so you have to understand that it's a business marriage. So going into partnerships, just understand that. Now, this is why I think it was cool that I started with the fix and flip partnerships, because they were 3 to 6 months, like, let me learn for a few months, and then I'll be out of we'll all be out of the deal, and then kind of regroup and see what worked, what didn't work, how we can improve from there. And then within a couple of years, and I was getting into the larger multifamily fix and flips. And when I talk about goals being aligned and people's strengths, different investor strengths, for sure, it doesn't just have to be like money and experience. Like, if you have I don't know, like someone who's really strong with accounting, someone else who's really strong with raising capital, and then someone who's really strong with uh, uh, construction, like the three of you can put together a pretty powerful partnership, and then add like
Right.
a marketing person to that, and boom, like you're going to get deals every month, and you're just going to be nonstop. Someone will just handle marketing acquisitions, and then you're going to handle this part, and that person's going to just handle that. And you know they're very powerful, so lots of growth there. And yeah, so these are my a very long answer for tips on partnerships.
Love it. And another thing I wanted to ask you, I mean, I think that you've grown a lot, but I'm sure one of the things that had to grow within the last few years is your mindset, right? Because when you first started out, as when we all do, right, where there's like a lot of self-doubt, like, is it even possible? Because you're just going off of faith at that point. There's no evidence. And so what did you how did you used to think before, like maybe when a problem arose or when something happened or wasn't happening in the timeline that you wanted it to now where, I assume your mindset has had to change on a few of those things. So can you give us an example of something like that?
Yes, personally, the biggest mindset shift I had was to trust myself that no matter what happened, I would figure it out. And um, when I first started, the market was booming. So I don't want to say it was easy because it wasn't. I was learning, right? Everything was scary and, super afraid to make one little mistake. Like, I don't know. And now it's it's a different type of tough and challenging business with the market that shifted so much in 6 months or in the last 8 months. So now I just work super hard and push myself and trust that I will make it happen. And if I don't, um, have the conversations. It sometimes it is what it is. You don't have a choice. So like conversations, I've had to extend some of my promissory notes with my private lenders by a few months. Like, hey, it's listed, it just hasn't sold yet. Okay, just letting you know. Um, I thought we were going to be in and out in 6 months. Now it's looking maybe like 8 to 10 months. So it's not super difficult conversations to have, but still, we want you kind of have to grow that. And these are things that I never thought I would even encounter, but I did, and I've overcome a few things. So um, the growth in mindset is huge. The other thing was just to stop underestimating myself as an investor. And it's also because as I'm learning and networking, um, my goals change. I mean, before, all I wanted was like a couple of rental properties 2 years ago. I would be happy with one rental property. Now the goals have changed because the more I learn about real estate investing, the more I see. And it's the cool thing, at least in my opinion, is it's also fun. Like, I think it's super cool to own a building, to provide housing and find solutions for 10 different households almost. So there's fun, there's money to be made, there's a lot of work as well. But it's just like that little challenge, like, okay, I did the single family, let me graduate to the small multifamilies. Okay, cool, kind of saw how that goes. And yeah, it was great. I feel like I'm ready to go a little bigger. So um it's just, as you invest and you continue your growth and you learn more and you feel like you're ready for the next step, you're ready for next step, um to that will kind of meet your goals, like your overall goals, financial goals or legacy goals. You end up kind of changing your goals, so you have to adapt. And now on a single family home, Burr, I know the ins and outs. 2 years ago I didn't, but now I do. But now that I'm getting into multifamilies, I'm like excited, scared, because it's a whole different ball game. And I'm super excited to get into it, to learn that asset class. And we want to do a couple more this year, and so, and I welcome that learning curve. Before I would be so afraid to have that learning curve, but now I welcome it because I want to do better and bigger. And if this is my thing now, maybe I'll continue buying buildings for the next 5 years. If it's not, then there's something else. So yeah, so I really like that
I
about
love that
the
you
firm.
have the effort to try, right? Because there's a lot of people that will tell me, "Oh, I wish I'm doing what you're doing," right? And I'm like, "Well, what am I doing?" They're like real estate, right? And I'm like, you could do it too, you know? And
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
but there is like this fear with trying. So how has that fear been eliminated for you when you don't know something, right? We're talking real estate, but it could be anything. Where now you're more receptive to, I'm going to welcome this learning curve and just learn along the way. What do you think changed that for you?
The community. So you mentioned like our group of investors here in Hawaii, we're pretty tight. um every person who is 5 to 10 years ahead of me, I can just hop on a call, whether it's 15-minute call or a 2-hour call sometimes. We'll analyze deals together because I just want another set of eyes. Like I still need that, especially in different markets or whatever the case is. So I think having people to rely on to just give me not necessarily the feedback, but just that extra set of eyes and um, reassurance that yes, this is a good deal, or no, that's not a good deal, or you need to get it for this much lower. That that's what allows me to like, okay, cool. So I verify the numbers. I'm like, you're right. Let me ask for a 20K reduction here. If it's not the one, then it's not the one, right? So I think the community. So it's like I'm learning alongside these people, and I'm also seeing what else they're doing. Some are sticking to fix and flip, some are going into RV parks. So, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like we're all, within all of us here, like there's a good group, big size group now. But within all of us, we're all kind of doing different things. So if I ever wanted to get into RV parks, I there's someone in my contact list that does it and who can give me the pros and cons, or hey, avoid this for the lender. So community was huge, and with community came accountability as well. And that's how last year, I can truly say that for the first nine, like, January to September, I did, I just put my head down every single day. I was hunting for deals, and then, getting through the lending and getting through the renovations and getting it listed for rent or for sale. So yeah, community.
Consistency and community, I would
Yeah.
say, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like the community helped to maybe for you to believe in yourself more because, there, and so I don't know if it was that someone believed in you or like the group, just believed that you could do it. And so it kind of fostered that self-belief, like, maybe I can do this,
Yeah.
or do you think that that kind of was nurtured? You did that yourself, and maybe that they just helped to grow it.
I think it was a bit of both. There was learning, and um, because I knew that I was able to ask questions and just have, yeah, um, for sure, for everything. And it's true. So you and I are part of the same mentorship, at least one mentorship that we're in together. I joined at the end of, what are we, 23? I forget. I joined at the very end of 2020, and then 2021 I took about like, I would say 5x action. And in 2022, I took 10x action because the market was changing. And here we are in 2023, going definitely bigger, not in a boastful way, but I'm just like, now that we did this, like I'm interested in learning the next thing. So yeah, the community, our little Hawaii group, and then just being in a mentorship and being able to ask questions, I just love that. I'm a sponge.
I love it.
Um,
I
yeah,
think you're a good it's like a teachable spirit, so then but really that helps you so you can teach others. Because there's a good teacher is a good student, I think. But
mhm.
another thing I wanted to ask you is I know that you're married, you have a daughter, you have another business, it's a dance school. So tell me a little bit about the dance school and how do you manage all these different things that you're doing? Because it's a lot.
Yeah. So the dance school is a little over 5 years old. It started as let me dance with my girlfriends, and it turned into something a lot bigger. And I became very inspired, especially with the youth that is interested in Tahitian dancing. So I decided to continue on and let it grow. How wherever the dance school wants to go, I will offer what I can, and just let it be. And so right now, not gonna lie, it's difficult, but because dancing is my passion. I was born in a dancing family, very cultural family. That's all I did. Not only is it my passion, but um, it people go to therapy, people go to a bar when they're not well or do other things. I had dancing, and that's my tune out time. And whether I'm teaching or I'm performing, it's just great. So it is my break, and I I long for that all the time. So because it's my passion, it doesn't feel necessarily overwhelming or hard. Like the honestly, the hard things when it comes to my dance school is more like the business side of it, because you've got to do the books and the schedules and manage, students, parents, not necessarily manage them, but anyway, my phone's blowing up all day long. And then when we've got special events coming up, performances, recitals, then it's heightened. The stress is a little
Right.
heightened there. But I mean, at the end of the day, I love it. I get a crazy rush dancing, watching my students dance, watching my students compete and just crush their goals. Like the best feeling that nothing else will provide. So even though it's hard, I'll do it. I'll continue doing it, and as long as I can. And um, as far as being a mom, as a real estate investor, and having a dance school, being a wife, um, I definitely, sorry, I definitely go through um these periods in 1 year where, like, every year there are times where my husband just, like, he gets it. He's like, don't bother her. She needs a couple of weeks of total focus, and then we have her back. um now that we've been doing this for a few years now, he gets it. So for example, um my house never used to be upside down until I started just being extremely active. And then my daughter now is at that age where we've got after school activities, and you've got to keep these kids entertained and
Yeah.
interested in something, and not necessarily busy, but just doing something other than whatever, social media or whatever. So it's a lot. And every now and then I also go through the, not necessarily the mom guilt, but like a parent guilt, where it's spring break, she's just home, like, because I've got to be home and work. It's tax season, and
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I always file my taxes super late. So I want to clean my books. So there's just a lot of understanding, honestly, from my family, which, without their understanding, love, and support, I probably wouldn't be doing as much. Maybe we'll do like one or two rentals a year and one competition a year for my dance school and one recital. Even then, like it's a lot of work. Um, but I just love what I do, truly. It's whether it's real estate or dance school, I get so much satisfaction in both areas that it makes me want to push and do more. And even when it's tough, I'm like, well, that's what you signed up for. You've got to do it. And my daughter has to come and spend 6 hours at the dance studio with me sometimes. Sometimes she's walking properties with me. This is what it is.
What do you love about both?
Um, so, well, dancing is my passion. It's in my heart. I was born and raised with that. Um, Seeing like my students, especially my younger ones, are kind of like, like my babies also. And just seeing them falling in love with Tahitian dancing, pushing, like I see myself a lot in it. So just that they have that in their heart. It's a beautiful thing to see as a teacher or even as a parent. It's a beautiful thing. And I've got parents who are pushing their daughters. I love it. So that's very satisfying. And then with real estate, the challenge, um, the wealth growth, I love, um, and meeting so many people, other trades in the business, other just connections within real estate. Being a landlord, I think, is actually also super cool. Working out with with tenants, maybe, kind of like that as well. Making sure that they have a safe, clean place, that they feel taken care of. I think it's super cool, because I want that for myself, as a renter. I want my landlord be to treat me well, so I want to treat them well. And just every now and then you've got like the tenants are like, oh, thank you so much. Whether it was helping them financially or taking care of it an issue like right away, and they're super thankful. Like, okay, like at least all of your hard work is, validated.
Right. I love that. Um, Another thing I wanted to kind of ask you about was about your husband and your family, because you mentioned like if I didn't have the love and support that I have, then, maybe my goals wouldn't be so huge, right?
Mhm.
So, how is that dynamic with your spouse? Like when you wanted to get into real estate, now that you're fully into it, like what has changed? What advice would you give? Because I think having that support it's just extremely necessary in order to be able to achieve your dreams.
Yes. So in my particular situation, it was very tough in the beginning because part of my debt was a lot of money invested into my real estate education. Um, and, he sees me not being able to take action. I joined my first mentorship in 2017. Right after that, I lost my mom and went through some dark times. Right after that, I opened my dance school and got crazy busy with that. So there was unfortunately not enough time to get into real estate investing, really. I truly needed the time, not just the money, but time. So I was just learning and trying to network for like the better part of 2 years and working so much. In December of 2019, he literally sat me down, and which is rare, like for him to have like a serious conversation. He was like, you need to think about this. Your daughter is, was she like 7 years old? Your daughter just turned 7 years old. She barely sees you. You drop her off at school in the morning. That is about it. Like that is not the relationship you want. Trust me. And he's like, you just we miss you. We want you with us a little bit more. So anyway, that's what made me really slow down and really rethink and really just strategize. Like, okay, what can I do? It's gonna be tough because I'm about to like leave my W-2 to pursue real estate. And we all know that can take what, 3, 6, 9 months? Like that can take a while. Um, right when I stopped working, the pandemic hits. My daughter's all of a sudden with me all day. I mean, it was cool because she just did a bit of like the Zoom school and remote school, and I was able to just, do my thing. And all afternoons, usually we were out and about and doing real estate things. So I was really able to take a lot of time to fix all of my finances and tackle our debt and then get into real estate, learning under someone almost for free. But I just learned so much and I really needed that push from someone. So um, for the beginning, it was tough because both him and I were super stressed out, trying to make money, trying to pay down this crazy debt that we had a hard time paying down. Okay, there's that. And then then the pandemic hit, so the stress levels were a little higher in the beginning. I completely stopped dancing. I was teaching on Zoom like an hour or two a week. I forget what it was. It was so minimal, so very minimal money. Thankfully, the blessing is my husband works in, what is that called? Like the one of those businesses that couldn't shut down because he works for a dealership. It was considered a essential business, and
Essential.
so yep, he didn't stop working. Very blessed with that, and we just adjusted life at that point financially, schedule wise. And once things picked up again, dancing picked up a lot. Like, uh, definitely, like I honestly, um, this month I'm feeling a lot more pressure just because there's too much going on. So, um, over the years, my husband has gotten used to just not necessarily, I wouldn't say that he would question me, but he would come home to like a home upside down for 4 or 5 days because I'm just like working on this one thing while managing my daughter and activities and and then going to my gigs and then going to dance class. So initially he's like, come on, like I don't want to come home to this upside down house. Like, what do we need to do? And I'm like, you have no idea what I'm going through. So he knows when I do have the time, this house will be amazing. And when I don't have time, then it's not going to happen. And just the fact that he's not putting that pressure on me is huge. Even like cooking, like I can just text him like, there's no dinner, you got to pick up dinner. Sorry. I could only work till 1 o'clock because I had to pick up our daughter and take her to this and that and then run to my gig, blah, blah, blah. So we're used to it now.
Good. How do you feel? Because I feel like a lot of people in real estate, business, entrepreneurs, typically it's the man that is like starting it all, and like sometimes like the wife can come and help. But in your case, I don't know like what your husband does, but it seems like it's mainly you, and you're kind of doing this not on your own because he's supporting you, but like it's you. So how what advice would you give to women that maybe are going through the same thing, right? Because your husband is working a 9 to 5 job, I would assume. And so that helps to take some pressure off of the bills. But you're like the go-getter of trying to make sure like your dreams come true.
Yeah. So first, it was a common goal. Like, we understand we want to build this, and he's going to keep, like, we just kind of agreed, like, you're going to keep your W-2 to make sure we are fed and housed.
Right.
And I'm going to do this because there will be bad months and there will be really good months. So it's going to be, a fluctuation here on the real estate side. That's been our agreement, and we've held up our ends, each of our ends of the agreement. Um, Now, how does that look like for anybody else? I wouldn't really be able to speak on that, but what does the family want? What do you and I, as the heads of household, what do we want for our family? How are we going to achieve that? What are you going to handle? What am I going to handle? Right? So that's, and then as long as everybody's holding up their end of the deal, it should work. And if it doesn't, then like have that conversation, like, okay, what's going on? Like, are you not feeling good about this? Like, what else can we do? I am absolutely open to slowing down. Like, if he ever were to be like, yo, like, you need to slow down. Like, can you take, the next 6 months, just relax a little bit? Okay, cool. I'll, and if I have partnerships, like, I'll have to communicate that with them, right? Because it's no longer just me, or him and I, really. We've got partners. So just have to, thread that accordingly, and stay, keep communication lines open. And goals change, people change, life changes, you never know, so
Right.
um at any time, like, we may want to just stop for a bit, like, let's take the year off. And I personally know people who have slowed down, and then some people are like, no, like, we've got to keep going. um so that what works. And um initially I wanted to retire him early, like, if he doesn't need to work until, I don't know, was it 60, 65? I want to do that. And but we know that it's gonna be like this before it's this, and we just have to, like, push through the beginning, the learning curve, the market change. Like, we're going to have to push through this. If we dig out now, we are guaranteed not necessarily failing or not making money, but we're guaranteed not building that legacy that we, that's the goal that we set, right? Like, in early 2020, that's what we agreed. So if we stop now, it's not going to happen. But let's continue, and like, I honestly, I don't, we don't even talk too much about real estate. When I have, like, exciting deals, I'll share that with him because I think it's super cool. Um, when I am going through tough times, I do share that with him as well. But it's more for, like, one, like a shoulder to cry on sometimes. Sometimes it's more like that totally neutral opinion, like, yeah, sometimes I just want that from him. And I just, sometimes I need to go to him, sometimes I need to go to another investor. Like, it just depends on what I need. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And you kept saying like, which I love is like we made these goals in 2020, right? We're going to keep going towards the goal. Like the goal doesn't change. Maybe the way we acquire or achieve that goal will change, but the goal hasn't changed. And so, but I know that this is a roller coaster. Like being an entrepreneur is, I mean, it can be, certainly it feels like it sometimes. So, what what was it? I mean, have you ever wanted to give up? And like, what was it that kept you just pushing when everything was just very difficult? When, you start to doubt yourself, you start thinking like, am I going to be able to get through this? Am I not? Right? Like, was it only the goal? Like, what comes to your mind when you're like, this is impossible? Like, what am I going to do?
Mm, uh, I think I just keep on telling myself I can do this, and I'm blessed to be in this position. Um, because I remember a while ago, like, I was sitting in a meeting, and this way more experienced investor was sharing some of his challenges. And because I don't know what, or that was probably 2, 3 years ago, I had not much going on. I said in the meeting, like, I wish I had those issues. I wish I had your challenges right now. Like, it's not fun. I get it. Like, it's so tough, but I wish I had that problem. And I just kind of try to remind myself, like, these things are gonna make me stronger. These things are gonna make me a better investor. Um, Again, it's the learning curve that I kind of signed up for. Yeah.
Um, it sounds like there's like a gratitude, like from what you said, right? Because you're like, I'm blessed to be in this position. Most people don't look at
Yeah.
it that way, right? Because
Yeah.
we don't want problems
Stressful.
in our lives. It can be
Yeah.
stressful. So,
Yeah.
is that like that's what I heard from you when you said that. It's like there's a gratitude that I can even be in this position.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely. And I mean, my background, like raised by a single mom, like we lived very, very the simplest life, but I was so fulfilled because I had dancing. It's just like today I get to do things. I get to work from home. I get to be with my daughter. Like, I mean, I dreamed of being with my daughter every day. Even though it's a pain to like fight traffic every morning and every afternoon, school drop off and pick up, but like it's cool. I no longer, when she's sick, I no longer need to find someone who might be okay with watching her a sick child, or I no longer have to ask to be off. um I can take her to every practice. I mean, she had zero activities before. Now that I can do real estate, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's do the sports. It's this. I'll drive you everywhere. So it's just above all, like as challenging as it's going as it gets, I can still do the things that I prayed for. So when I was working 3 jobs and I was working 6 to 7 days a week, my time off, I just wanted to lay down and binge watch Netflix because my brain was completely overwhelmed. I was physically and emotionally drained. Um, Now I'm not. I mean, I'm stressing, but I can still be there. I can still do like fun things with her. So, you know,
I love that. I think
yeah,
that was that the main reason that got you into real estate was like the time freedom that can come with it. It's not always
yes.
with it, but it can come with it. Is that what it was?
Yeah. So when I went to that, seminar, they get you at the seminar and they're like, sign up for a 3-day workshop and then sign up for a mentorship. It was right around Mother's Day. So I think I went to that first, I think in April or so, signed up for the mentorship. May rolls around and Mother's Day comes around. And then I had like a seminar, 3-day training or something. Mother's Day, the gift that I got from my daughter, and I still have a picture of that. Um, what is your mom good at? And she's good at working hard. That's what my daughter's answer was. I'm like, well, that's pathetic. Like, I would like to be the best at giving the best hugs or kisses, or I love her cooking or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's good at working hard. And I took that not lightly. I'm like, well, this poor girl doesn't see her mom, you know, something's got to change. But I mean, that was in 2017. It still took me almost 3 years to like turn this whole thing around. So, but I just always remember that and always knew real estate was one of the best ways to build wealth. Like even if I could invest and still work a W-2, like I would. I'm just blessed that I don't have to work a W-2, but I'm not opposed to it. I actually love my W-2. Like love, I wasn't working in accounting, love that job. Um, if I could invest, if I could do what I do while working W2, I would. But my daughter has priority over, a workaholic mom. So I
Yeah.
chose to just live frugally and only spend on what matters, whether it's family or learning. That's where the spending goes, and necessities, obviously. And yeah, and we're just I feel like our living expenses will live off of mainly my husband's income. So we are very, very, very blessed with that as well. While, the rentals are being stabilized and the market is shifting, and I may not make as much money as I anticipated on these flips, like, okay, we can still breathe. There's still a way to make this happen.
I love that. I think there's a true like perseverance in you, right?
Oh
That
yeah.
it's just like, and you must have learned that somewhere. I don't think that, I think you learn it as through experience, but I think we also have examples of that sometimes. Where do you like, where did you learn that? If there's a person, is there someone, or you just learned it through doing, basically?
Um, Probably my mom, of course. You can imagine a single mom raising three kids without financial help, so that was super tough. Um, and yeah, she was super hard worker and like she did everything. Um, so my mom was so huge on education that literally we could do anything and everything as long as we did well at school. So she's like, if you want to go hang out with your friends all weekend long, go ahead, right? You're safe, go ahead, but your school better not be affected. That's always been her rule. So, and then when dancing came for me, I was a teenager. Um, she's like, you've got dancing and you've got school. I'll handle the rest. So I never did laundry in my life. She
Good.
did. I rarely had to clean my house ever, like, or my bedroom, like, uh, yeah, like she just, she's up super early and she cooked everything. I didn't even cook. I mean, it's not pathetic, but I also had a crazy busy schedule. So she just said, you've got school and you've got dancing. I handle everything else. So, um, I pretty much think that like it started with her. And then here I'm surrounded by, especially in real estate, I am surrounded by hard workers, hustlers, not in that sense, but like, the can't stop, won't stop type of
Right.
mentality. And not necessarily to the point of like killing yourself over all of this, but um, this is what my goals are, this is what fits my lifestyle, and I will maximize that. So yes, being around these people, I always wonder, like, man, how do you guys do it? How do you guys do it? Some people have like 3 4 children and they still do all of this hard work. It's insane, but they do, and they figure it all out. And there's always that next deal, that next opportunity, um, that aligns with your goals. And you're like, well, I shouldn't pass on this. Like the next partnership opportunity, I don't want to pass on that.
I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
You guys are a great group. And I mean, and really you have an inspiring story to me, right? And so another thing, kind of one of the last questions I wanted to ask was, what does the future look like now? Right? Because I know your goals have changed. What does it look like in real estate, business, or family, whatever you want to share, um, with where you're going next?
So a couple of things. I set goals for the year, and I tend to like put my head down and like crush those, like just make them happen. Um, so this year we want to get into large multifamilies, and I want to do partnerships with like people that I just enjoy, in our industry. And it would be like a privilege to be a partner of theirs on this end, and let's share the responsibilities, and like we'll make it happen, no matter what. And so I'm really looking forward to that. Um, this year I also want to um, pay off or pay down a lot of my private lenders. So the strategy definitely shifted from last year. Last year, I think I wanted 12 doors last year. Just wanted to acquire 12 doors, like an average of one door a month that would cash flow a minimum of $200 a month, just to see if I could make that happen. Um, we kind of sort of did that. Like the last few doors are still in the stabilizing phase, so not quite. But anyway, and the end goal is to make a minimum after all expenses are paid of $30,000 of cash flow a month for my family and my dream is to buy a home here in on Maui. Hopefully soon that I'll get on creative terms.
Love that.
um, and and then we yeah, retire my husband. So what does the future look like? My husband will be retired. We will have all of our expenses paid for through real estate. um, I will I don't know, in like 7 years, I will travel with my daughter to help her get settled at the university of her choice, the college of her choice, the career of her choice. If she does want to go to college, yeah, I will. I don't know why. I honestly, my goal just revolves around being a mother to my mom, to my daughter. Being a mom to my daughter, and I've got one child. You know, in less than 10 years, she's gonna be probably doing her own thing, whatever, wherever her heart takes her. And as long as I maximize this time right now with her for as long as I can, I had a really good relationship with my mom, and I want that for my daughter and I. And I mean, not necessarily a rocky relationship, but a good mommy daughter relationship, and she was my rock. So want to make sure we enjoy that time together and as a family.
I love that. Well, T, you're so inspiring. I think that you I feel like you're humble, you have this persevering spirit about you, and you really bring what matters to the forefront, right? Because a lot of
Yeah.
people, they think about real estate and they're like, I just want to get rich. And and don't get me wrong, that's why everyone enters real estate. They want to make
Yeah.
money. But it's the why, why do we want to do it,
Yeah.
that I feel like you really focused on. And your goals are all related to family, and it's
Oh
beautiful.
yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
Thank you.
so anyways, I love that about you. But one thing I wanted to ask is, where, if someone wants to do a deal with you, they have a large multifamily deal. I know you're doing out of state investing, right? So I know you're in Kansas City, but
Yes.
what other states
So
are you in?
Indianapolis, well, Indiana, well, but in Indianapolis because I have connections there, and Kansas City. That's where I have teams where it will be not necessarily faster or easier, but since everything is pretty much set up, at least like all I've got to worry about is like the lending, the financing, and then the rest we've got it all, like renovations, property managers, handyman, the yard people, like we've got all of that covered. So in those two states primarily. And would love to take on creative deals as well, for sure. We might be going into a 70 unit in Kansas City. So we're going to learn a lot. I already spoke to some brokers, so there were some super cool, interesting things. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, okay, let's do this. This is how I should do it. Thank you. Like, I love that, and um, the beauty too is like, yes, we can all join mentorships or read the books, like I absolutely believe in those, but trust me when I say that taking action teaches you everything that the books didn't, or that the YouTube video didn't, or yeah, like honestly, there's nothing like taking action. Like there's nothing like getting into a deal. Now I understand, like in the beginning, getting to a deal with an experienced investor that like and trust. Like go for it. Don't hold back. Don't be stingy and want 100% of the profits when you could potentially make zero if you do one or two things wrong. Like just just do it with someone who's got the track record. So even in this multifamily, because it's our very first one, we've got to bring the big players, and so we're gonna have to be okay with learning. um but yeah, so that's one exciting thing. And um I'm also wanting to do maybe like 6 flips this year to help with capital, because all of these EMDs and all these miscellaneous repairs, like that cash is like going all over the place in all of our rental properties. So
Love
yeah,
it.
want to
Well,
build up that reserve again.
for sure, capital reserves, it's
Yeah.
needed in any business, right?
Yeah.
So, I agree 100% with you. So where should people reach out to you if they want to do a deal with you, if they have something large multifamily, or are you doing your flips only in Hawaii or in other places as well?
No, in a lot of states, as long as I've got the boots on the ground, I'll I'll do flips all day long. So I think the easiest way is on Instagram, Tereva Invests. I do check my DMs all the time, and if there are any, if anyone is interested in becoming a capital partner, we are always raising money, especially with a lot of deals that are coming up and these larger deals, as you know. So yeah, we're always raising private capital, always interested in hearing how we can work together and build wealth together. But yeah, Tereva Invest is definitely the easiest place.
And just so you guys know, she's got like a million of like hack accounts. No, a
Oh
million, yeah,
gosh,
yeah,
yeah,
where it's so you got to
so
make sure
bad.
you get that right. It's Tereva, right? So Tereva, invest with the S at
Invest.
the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you get the
I know
real
it's so
one.
hard. It's hard to how can you get verified like that? Like I think a lot of people were saying you should just get verified. I'm like, yeah, it's not an easy process. Like,
Yeah,
they don't just verify anyone.
right.
But yeah,
So,
I have
anyways,
that. Too.
thank you so much for coming on. You have such a
Thanks
great
for having me.
story, and I can't wait to see everything that happens with you. I'm sure I'll be notified through social media, and I'm on your newsletter. She has a
Oh, yay.
newsletter, so
Ah,
be sure to join that also. I think that's the link is in your bio and on
yes.
Instagram. So,
Thanks.
um, loved having you on, and thank you so
Likewise.
much.
Thank you, Maritza.